Happy draft day. Shedeur Sanders' draft stock is sliding, and I've got questions. I want to talk about it. I'm sure some of you are chomping at the bits to talk about it. It is draft day, so we'll be talking about it more after the fact. Also, some portal movement. Guys leaving, more guys visiting, portals closing. Told you it'd be a busy April. I don't lie to you. Smash the like button, subscribe. Let's roll the intro and let's get at it. Before we dive into the draft talk and Shedeur Sanders and all that good jazz, let's talk about the portal. Obviously, first order of business. Colorado offensive guard Zach Owens has entered into the transfer portal. And here's why I hate this. Came from Clemson last year, committed to Colorado in April this time last year. Again, coming in, looking to be developed, looking to grow in amongst the program. Had about 11 or 12 snaps last year, if I remember correctly from checking his PFS stats. Not much contribution happening. Now, keep in mind, change on the offensive line, change of coaches. So there's a lot of these things we have to consider because obviously previous coach looked at different people, brought in different styles. All those things are a major factor because I know some people are like, hey, want to see these guys grow, want to see these guys get committed and stick to a program. As much as I would love to criticize some of these players, and there's, we want to find someone to point the finger at. It's the system ultimately was what the problem. But also, too, this is why I think if it is a coaching situation where the NIL is valuable because look, you were recruited by somebody else. The style that they ran is different than what you're looking at, and it's not going to be a workout for you. So let's go find elsewhere and find a good home. So that's where I do enjoy it. We'll see. This will be his third stop, I believe, in 2 or 3 years. So a lot of moving around early into the career. So we'll see how it plays out. But with that being said, the portal is closed, meaning no more guys can enter into the portal. Although I believe we'll still see guys kind of trickle in over the next couple of days because it all depends on when their paperwork was submitted. Not necessarily when the news hits the cycle on whether it's X or whatever you're following, YouTube. It just could be in the next couple of days or so. But I would imagine that part of it closing down. People can still commit, can still enroll, and have plenty of time to enroll, obviously, with no school starting until, obviously, the fall cycle. They've got a lot of time to really weigh out all of their options. Now, if they want to enroll before then, they obviously can do that as well, too. They obviously want to get enrolled before the summer OTAs, honestly, more than waiting. So, next visit is Jaden McDonald, 6'4", 235-pound linebacker. Big-time Arizona linebacker just entered into the portal today as well. Someone to keep an eye on if Colorado wants to take a stab at it. Look, the Buffs have been very successful with their visits of who they've had come on to campus, have dang near committed. Hakeem Williams is the only one that's, I feel like, it's kind of gone a little cold. The former five-star wide receiver from FSU visited this past weekend and haven't really heard much since that visit. Not mean he's not going to commit, but you wonder how that relationship and how that interaction went, given when we've seen a guy visit Colorado, there's a purpose on what they're trying to accomplish and what they're trying to achieve, and you see those guys typically commit very fast. So Jay McDonald's one to keep an eye on for that linebacker position to see if that all will play out in towards the Buffs. Again, once it does, if it breaks down, we'll break him down some more, take a look at his PFF, see what he was able to contribute at Virginia Tech last year. Keep the bell turned on, keep it rock and roll. We'll keep you guys locked and loaded. Now let's talk about the draft, man. I'm in shambles. I to be quite honest with you, I'm a big Shedeur guy. I've been always a big component, big fan of him and what I believe he's able to do. I'm high on him in this draft. I'm high on him as a quarterback. I like him more than Cam Ward for multiple reasons. I know a lot of the criticism coming out is his build right now. 6'1", right at around 6'2". So not a lot of size comparably to other quarterbacks. That's always going to be a factor. Although Bryce Young was taken first round for being 5'9". So I don't know. These things, Kyler Murray's 5'8". Like, what are we doing? So the size thing is kind of weird to me. Again, the build is what they're concerned about. Things that we complained about, we spoke about on this show. I was looking, again, trying to figure out what's the big slide in the last 48 hours, right? Doesn't do a pro day, so it's not like they're all of a sudden just pulling up old film. Interviews is always a big process that could take that into consideration, which we'll get into. But a lot of things that I'm reading is hangs on to the ball too much, which we talked about that, and takes a little bit too long on his reads. How much of that was the offense? How much of that was play calling? I don't know. But we said these things earlier on. A lot of people are criticizing his inability to move around, not run, or choosing not to run. They're not quite sure what it is. I think that's a bit overrated personally. Caleb Williams can run all over the place, and that didn't bode well for him last year. I get it. You want to be mobile in the pocket. You want to get after it, but Joe Burrow doesn't necessarily have the fastest wheels, right? A little bit more of a, better pocket passer, but it's not like Shedeur is just completely handicapped in the backfield. Just some of this doesn't make any sense to me. The only thing that I can really draw conclusions to are the interviews, which I haven't seen anything. I haven't heard anything like anybody coming out and saying like, "Hey, we didn't like these answers," or "We didn't like you." You'll hear that from time to time. So the draft is crazy to me. And again, where a lot of that I'm assuming what's coming from is because the Saints were kind of the lock on taking him. That's where that was headed. But I think they probably dropped a little bit of an egg that, hey, we're not taking him, and that's where things started to slide. The Pittsburgh Steelers were a team that's been interested, but now he's favored to go second round. A player that was once favored to be first overall. It was a conversation between Cam Ward and Shadeur Sanders. Now we're wondering if Shadeur is going to go first round. Big question mark for me. What fires me up about the draft is because there's guys that I like to see succeed. I like to see how they're going to bode well in their new team, how they're going to fit in. And then also, too, I want to see how they kind of respond to maybe a situation like this, where they think they're going to go first round, or they're being projected, or you hear that they're going to do this, and I believe they should go higher, and then they slide, and you don't know why. And so it's like, okay, now I'm ready to see how they're going to respond to this in the following year. I think Ashton Jeanty is getting a lot of hype. That's changing draft boards up a little bit. Offensive tackles are as they do, once they start flying off the board, it changes people's how they navigate. It's looking like it could be a wild one here. And again, the Giants, when they went and got both quarterbacks, I kind of looked at that situation. I was like, that doesn't seem like a landing spot for Shedeur now. The Browns, obviously, they've got money tied up with their quarterback situation. And then you kind of go through everyone else, and it's like, man, where do you want me to land? Like, not to be fair, for me, if I'm locked, I said this before, I wouldn't mind if Shedeur went to a more reputable organization and gave him time to grow and mature. So it could be a blessing in disguise, honestly, to see if he were to fall. To go to Pittsburgh, and I don't know if he would sit behind Justin. I think he'd give him a true run. So something to keep an eye on there, because obviously Russell's now is at the Giants. It'll be a fun one later on this evening. And we'll talk about it after the fact. Travis Hunter at Cleveland. I find that one, I would keep an eye on that one. I think Abdul goes there. I really do. I still think Travis goes high. That one's a sneaky one for me. It's going to be, I think it's going to be fun. I think a lot of teams are going to be surprised. I think the Jaguar pick is one to keep an eye on. New GM from the Rams, young kid, trying to make a big name. I don't see them showing their hand. I don't see them throwing this Ashton Jeanty out there this quickly and just being sold on it. I think they're playing this game a little bit, and I think there's going to be a little chess piece moving. Maybe I'm crazy. It's going to be interesting. Let me know in the comments down below. How do you feel about this? What's your thoughts? What's your take? Is it the Sanders name that's dragging him? Maybe they're like, hey, we don't want to deal with the nonsense. Again, I don't know where the hate is coming from. I think a lot of it has to do with the Saints maybe moving their pick and their eyeball to, sounds like, Jackson Dart, who I'm not sold on by any stretch of the imagination. So everyone wants to be the smartest guy in the room. Come tomorrow, we're going to figure out who it is. We won't figure out tomorrow. We won't see that. We'll see that later on in the year. But want to hear from y'all. What do y'all think about this? Where do you think he goes? Is second round crazy? But I guess if they start running out of places, I don't know. We'll see. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace and love, baby.